As we all know, the 2023 car market was, well, a bit rocky, and as of this week, we have some of the first data for 2024. So let's dig into it. We got a lot of new information, not only regarding vehicle prices, but also US consumer debt with cars as well. And while in this video, we are just going to be talking about the used vehicle market and how this market is trending in the recent months, I do have a video planned very soon that will go over the US debt situation and car debt specifically, so stay tuned for that. Now, for those of you who are new to my channel, once per month, I go over used vehicle data for the previous month. I talk about how car prices have been trending, whether they went up or down, what the car market is currently doing, and whether right now is the best time to either buy or sell a car, and if not, when could be. I've been doing this video series for a couple of years now, and in this video, I want to discuss January of 2024 data, which is the very first data that we're getting for this year. And so let's kick this off by looking at Manheim data specifically. Manheim data was flat in January, and the Manheim Used Vehicle Value Index was at 204, down 9.2% from a year ago. But there was absolutely no change from December of 2023. While the Used Vehicle Value Index was flat month over month, the 3-year-old index was actually down by 1%. And while this may not sound like a lot, I mean, 1% isn't necessarily a huge deal. Between 2014 and 2019, the average decline that we would see for this exact same time of year for the 3-year-old index was 0.1%. So while a 1% decline certainly isn't a huge swing, it is quite a bit larger than what we would typically see this time of year for that same index. MMR retention was at 99.6%, which means that cars are being sold for pretty close to their true value. Cars aren't really being discounted massively, but they aren't being marked up massively either. I wouldn't really say that this is good news or bad news, it's just kind of neutral. And whenever we look at year-over-year change for individual vehicle segments, electric vehicles have declined by 16.4%. We're going to talk a bit more about electric vehicles here in a moment. Non-EVs as a whole have declined by 9.3%, and compact cars have declined by 13.2%, midsize by 10.9%, pickups by 9.9%, SUVs and crossover vehicles by 9.2%, and luxury vehicles by 9%, bringing the aggregate total of a 9.2% decline year over year. Now, one of the exciting changes that comes from Manheim for 2024 is that for segments of vehicles, so in addition to tracking luxury, crossover, pickups, vans, things like that, they're also going to be tracking electric vehicles as well, which is something they've never done in the past. And like I mentioned a moment ago, electric vehicles have declined by 16.4% year over year, while non-electric vehicles have declined by 9.3%. But in order to give some more information into individual segments and even makes and models of vehicles and how these prices are trending, let's take a look at CarGurus Used Vehicle Value Index. If we take a look here at CarGurus, you can see here the CarGurus Index. Now, this is accumulation of all of the vehicles that are listed on CarGurus, and I've set the dates to be from February 1st, 2023 to February 1st, 2024. And you can see here that as we progress into 2024, the graph is consistently more and more a downward slope, which is absolutely great news. And you can even see that the downward slope is getting a bit more aggressive as time goes on. When we take a look at body styles, you can see that all of the different types of body styles that CarGurus tracks are down not only in the last 30 days, the last 90 days, but also year over year as well. With vans being down 11.4%, hatchbacks down 9.2%, and wagons down nearly 9.7%. We're also seeing some pretty steep declines in the last 30 days, with crossovers seeing a decline of 2.2%, minivans down 2.6%, and wagons down 2.2%. If we scroll down to makes, you can see that for the most part, all of the different vehicle makes and models have gone down in value in not only the last 30 days, but the last 90 days and year over year, with a few exceptions including Aston Martin, Bentley, Ferrari, oddly enough GMC, Lamborghini, Pontiac, Porsche, and Rolls-Royce, and all of the different vehicle makes and models have gone down in value during this period of time, which include not only Tesla, which has declined not only a whopping 29% year over year, but also an astronomical 6.37% in the last 30 days. Polestar, another vehicle that has been horrendously holding its value, has declined less in the last 30 days, but has declined an astronomical 31.29% in the last year. What this CarGurus shows us is really what it has continued to show us over the last year to a year and a half, and that is that car prices are absolutely going down consistently month over month, some cars more than others. Which is absolutely great news if you are somebody who's wanting to buy a car, whether that be wholesale and you'd be looking more closely at those MMR values that we talked about earlier, or if you're somebody who's just a traditional used car buyer, and this CarGurus Used Vehicle Value Index is a great metric to see how much you can potentially expect to pay. But of course, like I always say in these market report videos, at the end of the day, a car is really only worth what somebody is willing to pay for it. And I think a really great way to gauge the overall health of the car market is to see how long cars are actually sitting on dealership lots before they're sold, or how often dealerships have to do price cuts in order to incentivize a sale. Because if you guys remember, which I'm sure many of you do, back in 2021 and 2022, dealerships were marking up cars left and right. Cars with $10, $20, even $30,000 markups were being sold off dealership lots. But that is absolutely no longer the case, no matter how often dealerships want to convince you otherwise. You can see here that I pulled up cars.com and I put in some of the different figures that reflect the average car market, with the max price of $40,000, with the minimum year being a 2020, and looking at any mileage, but really aiming for something in the 30 to 50,000 mile range. And you can see here that if we scroll down, you can see that there are a number of vehicles, a wide variety of them, that meet these specs. Cars that are priced for under 40 with reasonable mileage and considered great deals, from Teslas to Audis to Mazdas and more. But you can also see pretty quickly that dealerships are having to do pretty large price reductions on their cars, and even then, these cars aren't really selling. For example, this 2020 BMW X2 xDrive 280i. This car has 32,000 miles, and it's listed for $25,577. But if we scroll down, you can see that this car has been listed for 89 days, and it's seen $6,300 in total price reductions. And yet, it still hasn't sold. Another good example is an even newer car, 2023 Kia Sportage, which has 5,300 miles and it's listed for $29,500. This car has been listed for 105 days and it has seen $3,900 in total price reduction, which equates to more than 10% of the total price of the car. You can see that the dealership has been a bit all over the place, lowering prices, then raising them, then lowering again, then raising it again. Truthfully, I'm pretty glad that this car hasn't sold because I would not recommend spending nearly 30 grand on a Kia, even a new one. We have this 2023 Jeep Grand Cherokee Laredo, which is listed for $35,587 and it has just under 14,000 miles. This car has been listed for 49 days and has seen $2,200 or nearly $2,300 in price reductions. And unlike the previous car, this car has for the most part only been reduced in price with only one small price increase over the last 50 days. We have this 2021 Toyota Avalon with 42,000 miles listed for just under 30 grand. This car has been listed for a whopping 160 days and has seen just over $5,000 in price reductions. A 2021 Camaro 1LS with 44,000 miles listed for $22,500. This car has been listed for 54 days and has seen $1,500 in price reductions. And of course, we have to look at our obligatory Tesla, which is a car that I've been keeping track of ever since Elon Musk started cutting prices, and I have to admit that the price of a Tesla in the current car market is pretty mind-boggling. For example, this one right here is listed for $23,700 and it has under 40,000 miles. Sure, it's a standard range, but this is an excellent deal. Or you have this one right here. Again, another standard range, but it has under 21,000 miles and it's listed for under 23 grand. This is a really great deal. Now, I'm not going to lie, if you're looking to buy a used car, the newest data probably doesn't mean a whole lot because the car market really hasn't shifted a ton in the last 30 to 60 days, and I also don't think that it will shift a ton in the next 30 to 60 days. And the question of should you buy a car right now is a particularly tough one to answer because I do strongly believe that it depends on your circumstances. What is your current financial situation like? Are you able to pay cash? Do you have a credit union where you can finance at a decent rate? Do you really need a car right now, or can you wait 6 to 12 months? The answers to these questions will heavily dictate whether right now is the right time to buy. But one thing that I do think is a very important topic to cover in the context of the car market and whether or not you should buy a car today is the overall health of the economy. And I do have a deep dive video planned discussing just this for next week, so stay tuned for that. Because the truth is, if you're somebody who needs a car today, then it's probably a fine time to buy. Just make sure that you don't pay above MSRP, make sure to get a decent rate, and don't ever fall for dealership markups. But if you are someone who's looking to buy a more expensive car, or if you have the ability to wait a year, it could be a good idea to wait. Because the reality is, with 2024 being an election year, I don't think we'll see a huge economic shift in the next 10 months or so. But I do think that once the 2024 elections are over, all bets are sort of off. And so I do think that there is a chance that we could see a pretty big economic shift post-election, either at the end of 2024 or at the beginning of 2025. Now, obviously, this is just a theory, though I'm certainly not the only one that has it, but it is something that you should be keeping in the back of your mind if you're somebody who's looking to make a large purchase, whether that purchase is a house, a car, or whatever the case may be. But if this data from this video tells us one thing, it is that it is a much better time to buy today than it was this time last year. And that is incredibly good news, no matter how you slice it. Like always, you guys, I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, comments, if you have anything to add, I would love to hear it. So make sure to leave a comment down below. And while you guys are at it, make sure to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell. And I will see you guys in the next video.